It's purely a digital concentration camp. It's a slavery system.
When Catherine Austin Fitts talks, we should listen. She's a former high-level investment banker in New York and held senior office in the first Bush administration in Washington.
There may be 1,000 models of how it could work. But essentially, you will have, whether it's a banking account or a credit card, and it can be turned off and on. So my incentive system is not you go to work and work hard and you get money. My incentive system can be based on how you behaved in the last 5 minutes, on a 24/7 basis.
CBDCs, as the name suggests, would be issued by central banks like the Federal Reserve in America and the Bank of England, not by high street banks. They would signal the end of cash, and every transaction you make would be transparent and held on a permanent database. Crucially, under a net zero regime, your carbon footprint could be at the heart of the system.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker.
This can be the infrastructure for a carbon credit system. It's totalitarian control, and if people don't become aware of it now, it's going to be too late to backtrack from this. It's a ratchet system where it's very difficult, if not impossible, to backtrack.
The really big dangers of CBDCs are the programmability, which is that essentially it's not even money. It's like your money becomes potential money because it depends on a central planner to agree that you should now be allowed to spend this money in this location for this particular transaction and in this particular volume that you want to do. Well, why should that be conditional? But it is going to be when they describe programmability. That's what it's all about. That you can, of course, they present it from a positive side. We can give money to the people who really need it. That's how they will formulate it. But the other side of the coin is that this means that they have their ideas on who should spend money on what and when. And that will be reflected, and sometimes when you want to spend, they'll decide this is no good because you've already used too much carbon. Your carbon footprint is too big, or you've eaten too much beef, or whatever it may be. So we are talking about essentially some kind of social credit scoring or other similar system, and really it's not your money anymore. The push for CBDCs is the final step in a multi-decade program by central planners to increase their power over the people, over countries. This is the ultimate step because the powers of CBDCs are so extraordinary that, even the worst dictators in past centuries could only have dreamt of having such enormous power over the lives of so many people. We are talking about a very dystopian future if we allow central banks to issue central bank digital currencies. And it will be a completely totalitarian system of such frightening proportions, it's hard to imagine.
I'm completely against central bank digital currencies. I see them as positively evil. The pound note that you own will be registered at the Bank of England as being Alan's, and when you spend it, they will know exactly what you spent it on. That is total state control, and we've got to stop it.
If you allow any pretext that sounds noble to set aside your constitutional rights, then you have no constitutional rights. But the people who rule us do not want you to see this. They want to pit people against each other. They want to incite fear. They want to divide and conquer. I guess what I'm saying is, don't think that they won't do this to you. If we accept the fact that a QR code grants us access to society, what makes you think that they won't link that to anything else except for your vaccination status? What if that green screen on your phone that grants you access to society turns red the moment you take a flight too many, or you eat meat too much, or you didn't recycle your plastic yesterday? How dare you? What if that green screen on your phone that is linked to your digital wallet that's filled with nothing more but central bank digital currencies will turn red the moment you say something that the government classifies as hate speech? What if they can turn off your life at the push of one button? If they can do it in China, they can do it here.
The biggest fear that the World Economic Forum has is that there are going to be people that will not comply. Their biggest fear is your fight for freedom. Their biggest fear is that you will make individual decisions for yourself and you will not follow their orders. So this digital stuff is absolutely key, because without it, they can't enforce anything. Without it, they can't mandate that you do something. Without it, they can't control your life. So I don't care if you're talking about carbon emissions and what's safe and effective as far as they are concerned. I don't care if they're talking about an experimental injection, a series of injections, whatever they may be, and what's safe and effective as far as they're concerned. This is not about those individual things. This is about the desire to control you from the outside in. And if they have a digital process whereby they can restrict your movement, your behavior, and your decisions with the click of a button, you are done.
The government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Ai-ni are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Huijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist. I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey-Frere, NBC News, Beijing.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out.
There will be 3 types of emergencies in the next 5 years. Most likely first, cyber attack on financial or energy systems. Estimated timeline, Q4 2025, Q1 2026. Why this comes first? Cyber Polygon was run in 2020 and 2021 by WEF and Russia's largest bank, Sberbank, simulating a global cyber pandemic. You notice that Russia plays in the same game? It's part of the same game? The IMF, World Bank and BIS have accelerated CBDC infrastructure but need a crisis to justify full adoption. The global debt bubble, especially in the US and EU, is approaching unsustainable levels. They need a reset event. The narrative is already being set. Klaus Schwab warned of a COVID-like cyber attack that would shut down critical infrastructure. What it would look like. Major payment networks go offline for hours or days. ATM and banking outages caused by state-sponsored actors, example, Russia or anonymous hacker groups. Power grids or fuel distribution disrupted. Chaos in urban areas prompting emergency powers. Solution offered? Digital wallets, biometric ID and CBDCs. We're moving to the second wave. Environmental emergency or climate lockdown pilot. Estimated timeline, 2026 to 2028. Why this is next? Climate has already been framed as an existential crisis, especially among youth. 2025 and 2030 is the final stretch of UN's agenda 2030 targets. Pilot programs for 15-minute cities, personal carbon quotas and smart meters are already underway, UK, Canada and the EU. Greta, the IPCC and UN rhetoric is escalating towards emergency framing. A failed food harvest, energy crisis or heat wave could be used to initiate the test lockdowns. What it would look like. Regional curfews, vehicle restrictions or mandatory climate permits. A new scoring system tied to your personal carbon footprint. Justification for energy rations, geoengineering, or digital surveillance to monitor compliance. You notice that in all my videos, I kept repeating this word, compliance, because this is where we are heading. We are heading towards compliance, to any means. So, the third wave, financial reset, or debt relief for compliance. Estimated timeline, 2028 to 2030. Why this come next? They need to condition the public with fear and obedience first. And those are the first two waves. They need digital ID and cashless infrastructure in place. People must be desperate enough due to inflation, debt and food scarcity. Remember this, food scarcity, to accept programmable digital money. Major central banks like the ECB and Fed are still in trial or pilot phase with CBDCs, full launch, and will come later after trust is manufactured via crisis. What it would look like? A debt crisis followed by the debt jubilee programs for compliant citizens. Universal Basic Income, or UBI, linked to digital ID and vaccine or health behavior. Traditional banks slowly dissolve into state-managed digital wallets. So this is all. 3 waves.
I'm at Whole Foods and I'm about to pay for my groceries with my... It'll work. That's the coolest thing ever.